That was about to be a really, really solid week for this Detroit Pistons team. To be 4-0, playing some decent basketball teams, and beating the Cleveland Cavaliers without Cade Cunningham, Tobias Harris, and Jaden Ivey. But last night, when that brawl happened, all hell broke loose, and we had the lead, and then it just slowly dwindled away. We didn't have enough players to compete with Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. So those guys, when they were sitting there talking ish to Malik Beasley at the end of the game, doing his shimmy, good for you guys. You beat our third stringers. You beat our second stringers, guys that don't get enough playing time, and we're running 6 or 7 deep at the end of that game. So congratulations, Minnesota. I wouldn't expect anything less from a Minnesota fan or a Minnesota team. They're always crying about Detroit being dirty. They're crying in the football season a couple of years ago when Kirby Joseph came and hit TJ Hawkinson, and that was a legal hit, and somehow TJ Hawkinson tore his ACL because that was dirty. And then last night, Dante DiVincenzo starts the whole fight, and you got Minnesota fans saying Detroit's dirty. Detroit started that whole thing. That's not at all what happened. Number 0 was the aggressor. Naz Reid was the aggressor, in my opinion. You don't point your finger in another man's face, or you're going to have some problems. Then Dante DiVincenzo grabs Ron Holland. Ron Holland shoves him, and Dante DiVincenzo brings Ron Holland into the stands. What do you think's going to happen? Bring that bad boys energy back, though. I'm all for it. And unfortunately, we lost that game, which we could have had a 4-0 week, but that's all right. We're sitting 2.5 behind Indiana for the 4 seed, which was, that would have been a really big game to win last night. However, that's fine. We're sitting at the 5 seed, and we're a game and 1.5 games up on the Milwaukee Bucks for the 6 seed. So we're probably going to lock up a playoff seed within the next week or so. Hopefully we can beat the OKC Thunder on Wednesday, which is highly doubtful because OKC just always gets that whistle, but that's all right. We'll win. We need 1 or 2 more wins to lock up a playoff seed, and we're not going to fall into the play-in tournament. I'm not really worried about the play-in tournament at all. I think we're going to wrap up or lock in a playoff series with the Indiana Pacers, and that's what I've wanted all season long, because these Indiana Pacers games that we've had, they were close. They're coming down the wire. There were some games where they beat us by 10 points, but they were close games. Indiana just got hot from the 3-point line, but there was some pushing, there was some shoving. There's going to be some technical fouls. It's going to be a heated series, and it's probably going to go 6 or 7 games. But I'm all for bringing the bad boys energy back. No one wants to mess with Detroit. No one wants to give us credit, and that's what's funny about this whole thing. Everyone says we're the dirty team. We're the ones. No, we started. And my favorite thing about the whole brawl last night was when Isaiah Stewart was getting ejected, and he's pointing to the Detroit logo. That's what I'm talking about. This is Detroit. This is Detroit basketball. The bad boy energy is back, and I am all for it. But like I said earlier in the video, to not have Cade Cunningham, to not have Tobias Harris, and to not to have Jaden Ivey, to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers on Friday without those guys, that's a impressive win in itself. That should lock up Coach of the Year for JB Bickerstaff, because right now I don't understand why it's even a toss-up with Kenny Atkinson for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yes, the Cleveland Cavaliers are having a great season. I'm not taking that away from him. But for the Pistons to triple their win total, to go from 14 wins to 42 wins and still growing, and still, honestly, ever since the trade deadline, to be the 5th best team in the league with the 16-7 record, that's super impressive. JB Bickerstaff deserves Coach of the Year, and that should sum it up on Friday night when they beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. When the Cleveland Cavaliers had Evan Mobley, they had Darius Garland, they had Donovan Mitchell, and the Detroit Pistons were missing their 3 best players, and the Pistons team still beat them, man. This team is going to make some noise in the playoffs. Whether you like to admit it or not, it's time to hop on the bandwagon. This team is legit. This team is deep, and this team loves each other, and they care for each other. And it just goes to show in that scuffle last night that we got in with Minnesota. You had Isaiah Stewart sticking up for Ron Holland. You had Marcus Sasser sticking up for Ron Holland, and you had Malik Beasley, and you had who else was out there at the time? Maybe a Star Thompson. Simone Fontecchio. He was out there, but Dante DiVincenzo put his shoulder down on Simone Fontecchio. So this just goes to show we got Minnesota rattled. We were up by 10 points. They were playing dirty. They didn't like our dirty style of play, our physical style of play, whatever you want to call it, and that's why it got heated. And then you had Anthony Edwards and you had Julius Randle started to go off in the second half, and we had 8 people playing and they were getting tired and we weren't shooting the ball very well because we were tired, and that's why we fell apart in the second half of that game. But to have them talking crap when we only had 7 people playing and it's our third stringers and they're doing the Malik Beasley shimmy, I wouldn't expect anything less from a Minnesota team or a Minnesota fan base. Crying about Detroit being dirty, crying about the fight last night. Get out of here with that when you guys started the whole thing. But I'm really pumped with where this Detroit Pistons team is sitting at. Again, last night's game would have been huge to win, to move like a half game or a game and a half back from the Indiana Pacers from the 4 seed with 7 or 8 games left. But we're a game and a half up on the Milwaukee Bucks, 2.5 back from Indiana from the 4 seed. Hopefully we can gain on Indiana. We become the 4 seed. They move to the 5th seed and we host that playoff series. But if not, I'm willing to go on the road and play Indiana for a brawl of a series that's going to be. Let me know what you guys think about the brawl in the comment section down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.